Hi there, Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre, talking to you today about the Patagonia range of wetsuits for winter 2021 into 2022 and answering the question, is this the most eco-friendly wetsuit available on the market today? The answer is a yes from us, and the secret lies within the new material called Yulex used in the wetsuit. So Yulex, what essentially is Yulex? Unlike traditional neoprene, it is chlorine-free in terms of the process of making it, and unlike its counterparts, which is oil-based and limestone-based neoprenes, it's much more efficient in terms of a carbon output. The way they actually make the rubber is essentially from the rubber tree, the hevea plant. They bleed the rubber from the plant and through processes of using recycled water and a few other processes, they derive that natural rubber, which is then used to make the wetsuits itself. Now, 85% of the Patagonia wetsuit is Yulex. There is a further 15% using chlorine-free synthetic rubber. So again, it's much more efficient against its counterparts in terms of reducing any carbon output. Limestone, second best, is the slightly newer technology, but still very hard, very energy intensive to mine, and still does contain quite high carbon outputs. So aside from the Yulex, there have been some other big advancements in terms of the wetsuit technology which lie inside the wetsuit. And we're talking about the recycled linings of the wetsuit. So if we turn it inside out, you can have a little look and see what's going on in there. So looking inside the suit, what sort of recycled aspects lie within? Essentially, you've got two different linings inside the suit. Number one, you've got this sort of fluffy potholed or mottled sort of fabric that you can see running through the entire center or torso of the wetsuit and down to the thighs. And essentially that is a warm sort of thermal lining. Now this is made using 95% polyester, 51% of which is recycled, and then 5% is recycled elastane thermal microgrid lining. And essentially this is just a really good heat retaining fabric. But the bonus, of course, being that it's made from recycled products, which are mostly polyester or plastic based. The reason for that is extremely good at wicking or being non-absorbent, and it's actually very good from a thermal or insulating point of view. So aside from the linings inside the suit and the Yulex itself, what other sort of advancements are lying within the suit to make it a bit more environmentally friendly? One of the key things is the actual glue within the suit. It's a water-based glue. And essentially this is a solvent-free glue, which is essentially a lot better in terms of the wastage and the sort of byproducts of making the wetsuit and the processes involved. A lot less of a carbon footprint. You will find that in a lot of other wetsuits as well. It's not exclusive to Patagonia, but as you can imagine, they do use that technology. Another big advancement as well is in the way that they dye the actual lining of the neoprene itself as well. And this is called a dope dyeing process. Back in the old days, you used to basically have large quantities of water used to dye the actual fabric which lies over the top of the neoprene. These days, when they're actually creating the fabric, they infuse the colour at that stage. And as you can imagine, there's very little in terms of wastage and especially water and byproducts, that kind of stuff. So it's called the dope dyeing technique, and it's extremely efficient at reducing, again, any wastage and any carbon. So actually, in terms of how this wetsuit performs, aside from the environmentally friendly aspects, how does it actually perform as a wetsuit for whatever water sport you're using it for? And the answer is extremely good. It's taken a while for them to refine the technology and get that right balance between obviously a sustainable or more sustainable wetsuit material and performance and function. And it's really good. To give you an example, we've got the full-on stretch here, what you would expect in a high-end wetsuit. So there's going to be no restriction, it doesn't feel rigid in any way. The Yulex is extremely flexible. That thermal lining that we showed you before inside the suit is extremely good at retaining heat as you lose it from your body, and in turn keeping you very warm, and in turn obviously keeping you in the water for longer. It's taped on the outside of the suit as well, as you can see, and this taping just reinforces the seams. And then you've also obviously got that taping on the inside as well, which we'll flip back to you now and have a little look. So if we're looking at the seams inside the suit, you'll notice that they are flat taped. That tape is, all seams are triple glued and then they're taped. So this tape is applied using a very intensive heat process, which basically means this tape is bonded extremely well and that it's waterproof and it won't peel away from any point. So it's extremely comfortable to wear and very good at keeping water out of the suit and giving it a longer shelf life. Again, on the outside of the suit, you've got the things that you would expect, which is the Duraflex knee pads, which is extremely robust material, which will stop any wear and tear on the knees, which is typically where wetsuits wear through. But with the Patagonia, you've also got this on the ankle, which is a nice touch, which is basically stop any sort of binding damage if you're using it for kite surfing, that kind of thing. And just generally putting your foot through in an area of stress or a stress point, it will give it a longer shelf life. Moving further up the wetsuit then, a look at the entry system on the suit. You've got the chest entry system. So looking a bit closer at the chest entry system, this actually goes over the top of the inside of the wetsuit, meaning that you're getting in through the top here. But the good news is the zip zips from in to out, so you don't have to fiddle and reattach it. The inside of the wetsuit has two panels which pull open nice and wide. You can turn this inside out and climb in. It's just very good at keeping water out of the wetsuit. Any water that doesn't come in through the collar, instead of going into the body of the suit itself, most is guided out through the sides of the chest. So in summary, the Patagonia wetsuit is obviously not the cheapest, and that comes down to the technology within the suit. It's not the cheapest thing to make, but obviously if you're looking for a suit which reduces your carbon footprint and is a bit more sustainable and eco-friendly, then you wouldn't mind spending the extra money. But in terms of the performance of the wetsuit, it is high-end as you would expect and competes against all the other wetsuits around that price bracket in terms of flexibility, warmth, and just the finish on the wetsuit. So Patagonia, the R3 and R4 wetsuits made from Yulex, we highly recommend at the Wetsuit Centre.